If there is one kind of cat that has paid the highest price for humanity's fear of the dark and obsession with death, it's not the black panther in the deep forest, and it's not some spirit beast from legend. It's just an ordinary black cat that could be sitting on your windowsill right now. In old stories from Japan, Scotland, or on the sailing ships of the past, black cats were once honored as symbols of protection, prosperity, and good fortune. In laboratories, that black coat has been used to study melanin genes, the immune system, and survival. Worse, in some places, people still whisper chilling lines to each other. Don't let a black cat jump over the coffin or the corpse will sit up. If a cat hangs around a dead body, it's a bad omen. Those kinds of legends, together with the image of a black cat roaming at night with glowing eyes, have been around long enough to turn a completely ordinary animal into a scapegoat for every fear related to darkness, ghosts, and death. Black cats are not more aggressive, less intelligent, or less affectionate than any other color. They simply wear a color that history, superstition, and the entertainment industry have repeatedly tied to bad luck, witches, and disaster, so strongly that our brains trigger fear before we have a chance to really look at their faces. If you truly love cats and don't want to unconsciously help perpetuate one of the biggest injustices done to them, hit like, subscribe to the channel now, and leave a question about black cats in the comments. Because in just a few minutes, we're going to go through 15 facts about black cats, from melanin genes, the rusting effect of their fur and sunlight, and the legend of cats jumping over corpses and making them rise, to the ways our own brains are manipulated by the color black. And at least one fact near the end will very likely make you feel ashamed that you ever believed black cats bring bad luck. The problem is not the cats. It lies in how we've been taught to look at black cats. History and film have always hammered into our heads the image of black cats tied to witches, as omens, as harbingers of misfortune. The color black often hides facial details, making it harder for the human brain, which already carries a built-in fear of the dark, to read their expressions. From there, we paste labels like cold, mean, or hard to approach onto that tiny creature. The result is a very concrete kind of injustice. Black cats tend to stay in shelters longer, get chosen less often, and sometimes are rejected simply because people are afraid of bad luck. They pay with more days in metal cages and with their opportunity to have a family slowly fading over time, all because of a color they never chose. But this isn't just a story about feline welfare. It is also a story about us. When you learn to see through that dark coat, through genes, evolution, behavior, and even adoption numbers, you're not only clearing the name of one group of cats, you're also training yourself to see things beyond your first layer bias. That makes you a fairer cat guardian, a more clear-headed animal lover, and sometimes a kinder person toward everything less noticeable in this life. After looking straight at the problem, it's time to dissect black cats more fairly. Not with rumors, but with concrete facts, where genes, evolution, culture, and human psychology overlap to create the particular fate of these cats. Fact 1. Black cat is not a breed. It's an entire universe of breeds sharing one coat. When someone says, it's just a black cat, that sounds harmless, but it actually erases a whole diverse world behind those words. Black cat is not a breed name. It's just what we call a coat color. Behind that coat might be a compact Bombay, black and glossy like a lump of coal, with dark copper eyes that hypnotize whoever they gaze at. A massive Maine Coon with long, shaggy, lion-like fur. An Oriental Shorthair with a long body, big ears, and a runway model stride. Or an anonymous mixed-breed street cat that curls up on your lap to sleep every night. On official registries, There are more than 20 dozen recognized cat breeds that can have a fully black coat. From Bombay, Maine Coon, Persian, British Shorthair, American Shorthair, and Siberian, to Scottish Fold, Norwegian Forest Cat, and more. Each breed carries its own genetic traits for bone structure, coat texture, disease risk, energy level, activity preferences, and ways of bonding with humans. That means two black cats you glance at and think look identical, same coat, two bright eyes on a dark background, can actually differ in almost everything inside. How they react to sounds, how well they tolerate being alone, how they handle heat and cold, their grooming needs, and even their ideal vet schedule. Lumping them all into the single label, black cat, and treating them as a uniform group is extremely unfair to each individual. It strips them of the right to be seen as separate living beings with their own history, bodies, and personalities. Every black coat is really just a same-colored jacket. Inside that jacket are completely different persons living, watching you, and waiting for someone to call them by their real name instead of just that black cat. Fact 2. Black coat genes may be linked to survival, but they're not a magic immunity charm. A cat's coat color is not just about being pretty or not. It's the visible tip of a complex genetic story inside its body. To have a solid black coat, a cat's body has to turn up the volume on certain genes involved in producing melanin, the pigment also found in human skin, hair, and eyes. Melanin has two main branches. Pheomelanin creates yellow, orange, and red tones, while eumelanin is responsible for shades from dark brown to deep black. In black cats, the genes that drive eumelanin production are highly active, covering each hair with a thick, even layer of pigment so our eyes see a dense, glossy black. What's interesting is that these genes don't only affect the coat. Receptors and signaling pathways related to melanin pigments also appear in many other cell types in the body, including cells of the immune system and systems that regulate stress responses. In other animal species, darker individuals often appear more resilient to certain diseases and survive better in harsh environments. As a result, gene variants that increase blackness sometimes get favored by natural selection and preserved over many generations. With cats, some hypotheses in early studies have asked whether the gene variants that create an all-black coat might go along with subtle differences in how the body responds to certain disease agents, for example, some viruses. In other words, researchers are asking, could that black coat be more than camouflage in the dark and also reflect some interesting adjustments to the defense system inside? However, so far, all of this remains at the level of hints and possibilities, not strong enough to claim that black cats are healthier or get sick less often than other colors. That's why it's dangerous to turn a fascinating genetic detail into a simple magic slogan like, "Black cats have super immunity. Don't worry about illness." A black cat still needs full vaccinations, regular parasite control, a balanced diet, a low-stress living environment, and routine health checkups just like any other royal cat. Coat color can tell us a few interesting things about evolutionary history and genetic structure, but it cannot replace our very ordinary human responsibility, taking care of a cat's health through small, steady, unglamorous acts. Fact 3. Every black cat is its own fingerprint, in personality and in the hidden pattern under the fur. At first glance, a whole row of black cats in a shelter window can look like copy and paste shadows. But if you sit in front of those cages a bit longer, each individual will come into focus very clearly. One presses its body against the bars, asking to be touched. Another tilts its head and just watches. Another hides in the corner but never takes its eyes off you. Even the coat that looks so uniform carries subtle differences. Some cats are so deeply black that even under a bright light, they seem to swallow it. Some have a charcoal tone. Some has slightly brownish backs or a tiny white pearl on the chest or chin. In sunlight, many black cats reveal faint tabby stripes, the imprint of a hidden tabby gene underneath. Their personalities, like every other cat's, are woven from breed, early life experience, current environment, and how humans treat them, not from the color of the outer jacket. Saying black cats all act like this or that is a convenient way for the brain to be lazy, but it is deeply unfair to each individual. Fact 4. Black fur once worked as battle gear in the wild. Imagine a jet black body moving close along a wall at dusk, or slipping between shrubs just after the sun has set. In that half-light, the outline of the body almost disappears into the background. The only thing you can latch onto is a pair of glowing eyes. For feral cats, wild cats, or the ancestors of domestic cats, a black coat is a strategic advantage. It helps them approach prey more quietly and makes it harder for predators to spot them. In the wild, even a small advantage can be the line between life and death. An effective camouflage suit helps an individual survive and reproduce more, and over time, that coat color becomes more common in the population. But once they step into a world of asphalt and traffic, that same camouflage becomes a double-edged sword. In the dark, black cats are easier to lose from a driver's view. What once was survival gear in nature can easily turn into danger in cities without human protection. Fact 5. In many cultures, black cats are symbols of good luck, not bad omens. If you only listen to "black cats bring bad luck" stories, you might think the whole world looks at them with suspicion. But just step into another culture and that same jet black coat suddenly becomes a good luck charm. That contrast shows something clearly. The problem was never the cat. It's the stories humans built around it. In Japan, black cats enter folklore with a completely different role. People believe black cats can ward off evil forces and bring peace to the household. Some tales say that single women who keep black cats are more likely to meet a suitable partner. Not because the cat is a kind of Cupid, but because a woman gentle and patient enough to care for a misunderstood creature is seen as a good sign. Black Menaki Neko statues in shops and restaurants aren't decorating spooky energy. They're placed as a layer of invisible protection to ward off misfortune, attract good customers, and shelter the business. In Scotland, the belief is even more direct. A strange black cat that voluntarily walks into your home is seen as a sign that prosperity is on its way. No one chases that bad luck out. On the contrary, people silently feel grateful that their house has been chosen. In British seafaring tradition, black cats were once honorary crew members on many ships. Sailors believed taking a black cat on board would make voyages safer, avoiding storms and sudden accidents. At home, their wives and children kept black cats as a way of keeping a hold on their loved ones at sea. Seeing the cat safe and calm at home was a way of reassuring themselves that their person would also return safely. Putting these pieces together, Japan with black cats guarding shops, Scotland with black cats heralding prosperity, British sailors with black cats at sea, you can see clearly black cats do not carry any built-in good or bad luck. The same coat color is called a curse in one place and cherished as a charm in another. The meaning we attach to black cats doesn't come from their fur. It is written by humans' fears, beliefs, hopes, and imagination across generations. And if humans could write an unfair story for black cats, then humans can also write a different story, fairer and kinder, starting today. Fact number 6. Black cat syndrome, when coat color becomes a handicap in the adoption race. In rescue circles, the phrase black cat syndrome is not a joke. It describes a repeating reality. Black cats in shelters often stay longer, get fewer inquiries, and in overcrowded places face a higher risk of being left behind when hard choices must be made. Not because their medical histories are worse, or because they are more aggressive, but simply because many people walk in, glance at a row of dark cages, and move on. Part of the reason is superstition. Another part comes from the screen era. In quick photos, black cats often appear as faint dark blobs with no visible face or expression. It's hard to fall in love at first sight the way people do with lighter, patterned cats. Every time a black cat's profile is scrolled past like that, its chance for a real-life meeting shrinks a little. Sometimes, the gap between a life spent on a sofa and a life spent looking at the world through metal bars is just a few seconds someone chooses to stop at a photo. Fact number 7. Black cats are incredibly photogenic if humans use the right light. The hard-to-photograph problem is not the cat's fault. It's the lighting and the person holding the camera. Black fur absorbs most of the light that hits it. So, if you shoot in a dark room with direct flash, the camera tries to brighten the whole frame and the cat's face easily turns into a flat black patch with no detail, while the eyes reflect light harshly and look unfriendly. Just change your approach, and a black cat suddenly becomes an extremely photogenic subject. Place them near a window where natural light pours in but isn't too harsh. Let the light fall from the side to reveal the curves of the cheeks, whiskers, and ear edges. Choose a light or neutral background so their outline stands out. Wait for the moment they turn slightly sideways, eyes looking off to one side, ears perked. In that setting, the black coat stops being a solid block and reveals layers of brown, charcoal, and bronze, while yellow or green eyes seem to glow. So the claim that black cats are hard to photograph is really an invitation. If you give them the right conditions, they'll give you photos no other cat can. Fact number 8. The rusting effect, when a black cat turns chocolate and reveals tabby stripes in the sun. Many people who keep black cats experience a confusing moment. One fine day, they realize their cat's back is no longer pure black, but has shifted to brown or reddish, like velvet that's been sun-scorched. Under sunlight, faint stripes appear that look like a tabby pattern. This is often playfully called rusting. Biologically, that's when melanin, the pigment that creates black, has been worn down over time by UV rays, revealing warmer tones underneath. In cats that carry tabby genes, when the black layer thins a bit, the underlying tabby pattern starts to appear like a hidden tattoo. In most cases, this is a natural process that isn't harmful and even gives the cat a fun new look. However, if color change comes with rough, dry hair, patchy hair loss, flaky skin, weight loss, fatigue, or behavior changes, then coat color should be treated as a health warning, and the cat should get a proper vet check, not just be dismissed as a funny lighting effect. Fact number 9. Black cat's eyes, when anatomy accidentally creates a supernatural feeling. It's no coincidence that in ghost stories, the classic image is two glowing eyes in the dark. In cats, that's fully explained by eye anatomy. A cat's retina is backed by a reflective layer of cells called the tapetum lucidum, like a dim mirror that bounces light back through the retina a second time. A cat's pupil can change size dramatically. In the dark, it opens almost as wide as the visible eye to catch as much light as possible. In black cats, the dark coat makes other facial details sink into shadow, so only two brilliant screens of eyes remain. In dim light, yellow, amber, or green eyes can look as though they're glowing from within, giving the impression that the cat can see into areas where human eyes fail. From that feeling to humans assigning black cats the power to see the invisible is a shorter jump than it seems. Yet, if you strip away that layer of myth, what's left is still astonishing. A visual system perfectly tuned for twilight life, refined over millions of years of evolution, so that every time a cat lands exactly on the edge of a cabinet in a dark room, you're reminded how small you are compared to nature. Fact number 10. From Bastet to Freya, black cats once stood as gatekeepers for families and gods. Before they were dragged into stories about witches, curses, and bad luck, cats, especially dark-coated ones, occupied a completely different place in human imagination. They were guardians, creatures standing watch at the boundary between safety and chaos, between the human world and what we cannot see. In ancient Egypt, cats were closely associated with the goddess Bastet, a goddess layered with meanings: protector of households, guardian of women and children, connected to fertility, music, joy, and gentleness. Statues and reliefs of Bastet often show a woman's body with a cat's head, or a seated female cat with a straight back, elongated eye lines, and a posture that is both soft and alert. In many depictions, these cats have dark coats with eyes that contrast sharply with the surrounding darkness, as if they can see into every hidden corner. Cat statues made of stone or bronze, often dark in color, were placed in homes, temples, and tombs as wishes for peace and prosperity. If there is a cat, Bastet is watching, and the family will be protected from invisible misfortune. For Egyptians, cats were not just rat hunters protecting grain stores, though that role was already vital, but also invisible bodyguards of the home. Harming a cat was seen as insulting the gods and could carry heavy punishment. When a family cat died, some households even shaved their eyebrows as a sign of mourning. All this shows that in their eyes, under that often very dark coat, was not a trivial animal, but a creature with a hint of the divine, entrusted with guarding the doorway between the family and whatever evil might come from outside. In Northern Europe, in Viking mythology, cats appear again beside a goddess, this time Freya, the embodiment of love, fertility, beauty, and feminine power. Many descriptions portray Freya riding a chariot pulled by two giant cats, strong and supple. Not every ancient text specifies their color, but in many modern images, they're drawn with dark coats, solid muscles, and shining eyes, like two pieces of the night in motion. That image creates a strong link. Cats, especially dark-furred ones, become symbols of gentle strength, quiet but enduring, of sharp intuition, and of the ability to move freely between realms humans hesitate to enter. Stories around Freya also include bits of folklore about farmers leaving food for cats in hopes of gaining the goddess's favor, and about treating cats kindly as a way of indirectly honoring unseen forces watching over crops, love, and life in the home. Whether in Egypt with Bastet or the north with Freya, the pattern repeats. Cats, including many dark-coated ones, are imagined as beings that move freely between home and forest, between daily life and the world of the gods, between the visible and the invisible. Seen through these layers of stories, it's hard to believe that just a few centuries later, the very same cats with bright eyes and black fur were dragged down and turned into symbols of bad luck and witchcraft. If once they were placed at doorways, on altars, and in temples as sacred gatekeepers, maybe it's time we remember that role. Not as the hand of darkness, but as beings standing at the threshold, quietly watching, protecting, and reminding humans there is still so much we don't understand. Fact number 11, the legend of black cats jumping over corpses. This is human fear, not feline power. In some Chinese communities and in a few parts of Europe, there is a gruesome belief. Don't let a cat, especially a black one, jump over a coffin or a corpse, or the dead will set up as a zombie or vampire. So at funerals, people watch cats closely, keep coffins covered, and prevent any cat from getting near. Seen with modern eyes, this is clearly a piece of folklore with very down-to-earth roots. Corpses easily attract cats, dogs, and rats. Turning that into "cats make the dead rise" is a folk way to force the living to guard the body carefully, both to protect the dignity of the deceased and reduce the risk of disease. On top of that, a dead body can still have small muscle spasms or release gas that moves the limbs. If a cat happens to jump over at that moment, people in the past would easily connect the two and blame the cat. Symbolically, black cats roam at night. Their eyes glow, and they often appear at border zones such as dark alleys, backyards, or near graveyards, so pulling them into every life and death story isn't surprising. But if we retell this legend today, the fairest thing to do is call it what it is: a piece of folklore reflecting human fear and the need for control, not evidence that black cats are involved with ghosts or demons. The scary thing isn't the cat's jump. It's the moment people use those stories to justify chasing, abusing, or hurting a completely innocent animal. Fact number 12. Many black cats are really tabbies in disguise, and their coat will confess over time. If you've raised a black cat from kittenhood, there's a good chance that one day, when they're an adult or senior, you'll be surprised to see faint stripes appearing along their back or tabby-like markings showing around their hips. That doesn't mean the cat changed breeds. It means their true genetic base is showing more clearly as black pigment redistributes with age or in response to the environment. The tabby pattern is an extremely common base design in domestic cats. Many all-black individuals are actually hidden tabbies covered by dominant melanism. When that black ink layer thins slightly, the underlying lines appear. Every hair and every patch of color on a cat's body is like a silent diary of time. It records both the genetic story and the marks left by the environment over the years. Fact number 13. Black cats in modern magic, where intuition, belief, and behavior science overlap. In modern spiritual communities, like Wicca or paganism, black cats often appear as familiars, energetic companions believed to be sensitive to types of vibrations humans can't see. Many people say their black cat showed up right when they were at their lowest point, or stayed away from people who later turned out to be genuinely bad news. Those personal experiences, although hard to measure, feel very real to the people who live them. Seen through the lens of behavior science, we can notice two parallel layers. First, the reality that cats, of any color, have extremely sensitive senses and can detect tiny changes in scent, voice, posture, heart rate, and more. Second, the human tendency to search for meaning, connect events, and build stories around them. Those two layers stack on top of each other and create the feeling that black cats know everything and understand everything. Perhaps the important thing is not to reject everything or blindly believe anything, but to maintain a clear boundary, respect our emotional experiences, while not dragging cats into rituals, experiments, or spiritual challenges that scare or exhaust them. Fact number 14. In the social media age, black cats have become symbols of the misunderstood. If you pay attention in recent years, every Halloween or Black Cat Appreciation Day, social media is flooded with before and after adoption photos of black cats, from a hunched shadow in a metal cage with worried eyes to a pool of ink sprawled belly up on a couch, sleeping without a care. Along with those images come slogans like, "They're not bad luck, they're just badly marketed." In that context, black cats step beyond the role of having a certain coat color. They become symbols for all individuals who are underrated just because their looks don't fit the mainstream ideal. For the kids who always get picked last, even though they've done nothing wrong. When you hit like, share, or tell the truth about black cats, you're not just helping a specific group of cats get more visibility, you're also adding one small brick to the slow process of changing how society treats anything less flashy in general. Fact number 15. The biggest problem black cats face isn't on their fur, it's in the human brain. In the end, the thread tying all these facts together is this. Black cats just happen to stand at the exact crossroads where color, evolution, history, superstition, and psychology meet. They don't have any built-in bad luck code. The only truly dangerous thing is how the human brain processes the color black after centuries of being taught to fear the dark. When we see a black cat, especially in low light, the details of the face are swallowed in shadow, leaving only two bright eyes. Our brain, which has long associated black with danger, immediately switches into alert mode. Instead of admitting, "I can't see clearly enough," it chooses a shortcut. Labels like, "looks mean, hard to approach, kind of creepy." If repeated often enough, those labels travel from one person's mouth to another's ears and eventually become decisions. Let's not pick the black one. The good news is that because this is learned, it can be relearned. Every time you deliberately pause longer in front of a black cat, sit down at eye level. Watch their ears, how wide their eyes are, and how their tail and body move when you touch or talk to them, and then ask yourself, what is it really feeling? You adjust your own filter. Every story you tell differently, not unlucky, shifty, but amazingly resilient, the most misunderstood, becomes a new crease in the culture around black cats. And very likely, from those tiny creases, the fate of many black cats waiting behind metal bars somewhere will slowly start to change. When we talk about black cats, the things that hurt them most are not their genes or health, but the comments that seem harmless, the quick snapshots, and the small habits repeated so often they turn into prejudice. And those are directly deciding whether a black cat's life is going to shine in a home or fade away in some corner of the world. This part is for inspecting ourselves and then adjusting bit by bit. Starting today, there are a few very concrete things you can do for black cats, whether it's your own cat or a cat that belongs to the world. First, adjust the way you speak about them in your mind. Drop the word "just" when you talk about black cats, and always pair them with a specific personality trait instead of a vague stereotype. If you live with a black cat, spend a few minutes sitting at eye level, watching their ears, eyes, and tail when you touch them or talk to them. Practice reading emotion on that dark face the same way you read emotion on an orange or calico cat. Take a photo where your cat really looks like a cat, in good light, with eyes and body clearly visible, and, if you like, add a short "clearing their name" caption, who your black cat actually is. And if you're thinking about adopting someday, quietly make yourself a small promise. You will give black cats at least the same chance you give any other color code. Red flags for ethics and welfare. There are a few behaviors that, if you see them happening around black cats, you should treat as bright red warning signs. Adopting, buying, or borrowing a black cat to use them for Halloween, spooky photo shoots, and then returning, abandoning, or neglecting them once the fun is over. Intentionally using a black cat as a prop to scare children or guests, or forcing them into frightening situations just to film a clip. Bullying, chasing, throwing rocks at, or beating black cats on the street because of superstitious stories. Treating a black cat's safety lightly because you think, these ones are tough, they'll take care of themselves. Those things are not just jokes or just tradition. They are actions that hurt a creature that has already been misunderstood far too much. And if you can, you should be the one to speak up when you see them. Red flags for health in black cats, and in every other color. With black cats, coat color sometimes makes it harder to notice small changes, so it is even more important to be observant. Coat changes with clear signs of decline, fur that changes color along with rust texture, patchy hair loss, flaky skin, weight loss, poor appetite, and reduced play. Don't rush to blame sun rust, but treat it as a reminder that it's time for a vet visit. Eye problems. Lots of tearing, green or yellow discharge, cloudy eyes, frequent squinting, or light sensitivity. Eyes glowing in the dark is normal, but eyes that are constantly red, dull, or uneven are not. Behavior changes. A cat that suddenly becomes irritable, avoids you, hides all the time, stops eating, changes its litter box habits, or vocalizes much more than usual. Those things are rarely a black cat being moody, and more often signs of pain, stress, or illness. And as with every piece of content on this channel, there is one reminder that is never unnecessary. If your cat, black or not, shows strange signs or worrying symptoms, take them to a veterinarian as soon as possible. The knowledge in this piece only helps you recognize problems earlier. It cannot replace professional diagnosis or treatment. If you look back at the whole story, one thing feels almost bitterly ironic. For so long, humans have searched for good or bad omens on a black cat's coat, while in reality, it is our own attitude that decides whether their life will shine in a home or fade out in some corner by the roadside. Scientifically, black cats are simply the result of genes, melanin, and evolution. Historically, in one place, they were placed beside gods. In another, they were dragged over to witches and misfortune. Emotionally, they are afraid, they feel pain, they feel hunger, and they feel joy when someone calls their name, just like every other cat. Everything else, completely, is up to human choice. You don't have to adopt a black cat to prove you're a good person, but from the moment you understand that their coat is just a jacket, you can already change the story. Make one fewer joke tying black cats to bad luck. Change how you describe them. Give those yellow eyes and the dark fur a more careful look. And if one day you walk into a shelter, deliberately walk over to the row of black cages before you decide. The question we started with was, do black cats really bring bad luck? At this point, perhaps the more important question is, when a tiny creature is left behind just because of a coat color it never chose, where does the bad omen really live? In the cat? Or in the way we look at it, talk about it, and treat it every day? The power to define black cats belongs to you more than you think, and sometimes just one fair look is enough to change the entire rest of the life of a little shadow waiting to step into the light. If you feel today's story deserves to be heard so that more people can see black cats differently, hit like, subscribe, and share this video with a friend who loves cats as much as you do. Don't forget to leave a comment about your own experience with black cats, or the reason you once feared them. Who knows? Your small story might be the key that opens the cage door for some little shadow out there.